Alrighty, it's about freaking time. We got friggin' you know what? It's a conspiracy, all right? Facebook, Google, YouTube, they're
Mhm.
messing us up and making us late. It's their fault. Blame them. Thanks for joining us. This is You, Me, and BTC episode 255. We're going to have some fun today. I kind of just picked out a story all about free speech and algorithms. That's our title for today. And we really are just going to go to town on these algorithms, see what we like about them, what we don't like. And this was all prompted because Twitter supposedly, a couple weeks ago, they supposedly claimed that they don't shadow ban. But they also explained a lot more. So that is all coming up. Thanks for joining us. Again, I am Daniel Brown, and I'm here with
Tim Baker.
Tim Baker.
And Zach Wool, he was just almost asleep.
Yeah, Zach's about ready to take a nap. So jump in the chat, guys. Wake him up. Tell us how you're doing, what you're thinking, how you're feeling, what you're wearing. Anything works for us. The place to be is you, me, and btc.com/live. We are a little late, like I said, but we're gonna have some fun anyway. Our landing page, it's the same URL every week. Will redirect to the correct landing page while we're live. That's got our video, our show notes. Oh, the chat box, of course. Feel free to jump in. Anything you got, let us know. We'll usually read it on the air. Video, chat box, show notes, links to some of the in this case it's Twitter blog posts that we're gonna kind of cover and laugh at but have some serious conversations too. And I do plan to have a poll here in a few minutes. Obviously, as you've noticed, we're a bit behind, so I'll get the poll up in a second while Tim or Zach takes the reins here. Before we get into that, though, one quick thing, as we've been doing for a while because they've been a great sponsor, chronologic.network. That is our supporter for the week, and they have been for quite a while. They do temporal innovation on the Ethereum blockchain. So they have temporal is time related. If you don't know, they have the Ethereum alarm clock. They have debt smart contracts. They have a token minting mechanism that can smooth out token launches. All kinds of amazing time related innovation on the Ethereum blockchain. Check them out at chronologic.network. We thank them a ton because they literally make this show possible. So, yeah, like I said, I need to send out some tweets, set up our poll, and I'll be back momentarily. I want to turn it over to Tim and ask what you think in general about free speech. Because, again, let me give a quick spiel again. We're a Bitcoin podcast, but we also love liberty. So one of those, free speech it's at least a hot topic for people that love liberty. So we're going to go to town on it. What do you think, Tim?
I hate it as usual. I'm going to spend most of my
Yes.
time trying to explain why you shouldn't. Really, nobody should have free speech. I think now, I mean, every single podcast that exists now should be grandfathered into this. But I do think that we need to start cracking down on just who's allowed to give out media, give out information, because me, Daniel, Zach, we all have very high qualifications. We've all been checked. We've all been run for how diligent we are with coming up with our facts. And Zach, I thought you were putting on virtual reality glasses at first until I realized it was just an OtterBox case. I was like, what is he doing?
I'm looking at you all through. No, I agree completely with you. We are the gold standard for not just Bitcoin news, but for all news pretty much in general. And I, for one, find it outrageous that anyone thinks they can just start a Bitcoin podcast and shoot their mouth off on the internet as if they're some sort of authority on Bitcoin. Someone that was all sarcastic. Someone earlier today tweeted at me, Jill Carlson, who's this like VC or something. I haven't interacted with her a ton, but she started this thing, E255, which is like a female blockchain developer scholarship fund or something. And she was like, her mentee program. She's like, everyone should sign up. And I was like, oh, cool name. She was like, Zach, you should sign up. I was like, Jill, I know nothing. I'm not trying to mentor someone. I will
Let me explain this to you.
I will screw up their professional career if you assign me as a mentor to someone. So, But yeah, we're the gold standard of information in this space for
I
sure.
mean, we might as well be, as Daniel started the show with, we are going the way of everybody else now, and just blaming Twitter and Facebook and how much they're censoring us, and stopping us with everything. I don't know, seriously, about free speech. I, I go back and forth on like what I actually believe is like what a right means and what like how much weight that actually has in the world. But I think that, especially if we want to at all get a society that it is actually tolerant of people and tolerant of everything, you do have to allow most speech. Like if you're gonna ask me about what a speech thing is, I'm gonna err on the side of, as long as it's speech and it's not action, I'm probably okay with it. I mean, you can get into stuff where, and I mean, I remember, I think maybe Kathy Reisenwitz, or I always forget her name. I think that's the
No,
girl
that's
with
it. That's it.
Tucker, with Jeffrey. But they would talk about, well, they're like, well, actually, words can be a violation of the NAP. And one, I've kind of gone away from being like, well, no, the NAP is the gold standard and everything, and it must constantly be respected. To where
Whoa,
I'm like,
believes in violence.
no, I don't see, like, I don't
Tim
see
wants
the
to
point.
punch me in the face right
Exactly.
now, so
Well,
I
no,
think
I
he
do.
does
That's
believe
also
in
part of it,
violence.
is having to deal with people like Daniel. I go out into the real world and I'm like, oh, okay, Daniel would just be helped out by just getting that painting behind him smacked over his head. No, but like, I don't see the point of like telling people that. Like that's great. That's great. Like, something like the NAP is great in the same sense as telling somebody that murder is wrong. Like, yeah, but you telling them this isn't really going to stop something in that moment. And I understand that a lot of the times, now there are people who will just kind of continue to commit violent acts, but if we're talking about something that's going to actually be able to be stopped by word, like by stopping someone from being allowed to say something, that's much less, that argument makes a lot less sense to me, as far as like, well, these words can harm somebody, they can cause emotional hurt or emotional toil, or they could push them in the direct, like you get into bullying or like cyberbullying, like people are killing themselves, and should you be allowed to attack somebody on the internet? And I'm like, my gut feeling is to go, well, yes, but not because I think free speech in that situation is good, but because in that situation, that's just like the shitty part of people. Like, if we start making any kind of attempts to take away free speech, then as soon as you open up that gate, you can open up to everything. So like now everyone's like, yep, no, we have to deplatform Alex Jones and get rid of all this. And it's like, yeah, but then whenever anybody gets power, you don't like, or even if they're not in power, like I've heard about, actually, we shouldn't be talking about that. I've heard about other podcasts getting taken down. I don't know if it was about Jones or not, but other podcasts getting taken down for just mentioning him. And it's like, well, guys, if we're gonna start, it's not so much the company doing it. I understand the company being like, yeah, no, we'll get rid of you. But the people who are celebrating it, I'm kind of like, I mean, I get this isn't technically a violation of free speech. So actually, I'm going off on something you didn't even ask me. So I apologize for that. We can actually
No,
get into
shut
that
up.
later.
Just stop.
But
Just
just
stop.
in general, I hold free speech higher than I hold a lot of other ideals, I guess I would say. Like, that's probably one of the biggest things to me, is your ability to say whatever you want. And like, because once you start criminalizing something that is dependent on the recipient of words, like the words are so easy to interpret in a way that they were not meant, or stuff like that. So once you start getting into that, I think it just runs away. If you do make that a legal issue, if you make like, well, you can't say this certain thing, then you can't ever, then like the genie's out of the bottle at that point. You can't ever then go back and be like, you can always make a better argument for why, well, this shouldn't be allowed to be said, and this shouldn't be allowed to be said, and this, and generally we don't repeal that. Generally we don't go, well, no, we should get this freedom back. That's more like my argument for free speech isn't a go. I think everybody has something useful to just like contribute to everything, and more a if we do want useful things contributed, we need to allow the free flow of conversation and information.
Do you value freedom of speech more than money?
What do you mean?
You just said you valued it more than a lot of things. If someone came to you and said, you have two buttons you can push, one of them will prevent anyone from saying or communicating any sort of idea that's not pre-approved by a state ever in their life, but Bitcoin will never go below $5 million a coin ever again. Or you can push the second button that says Bitcoin will never go above $1 million a coin, but everyone will have free speech for eternity, unbridled free speech. Which button would you push?
Well, I could spend 5 minutes lying to you and telling you that I'd push the button for $1 million. But if I'm being honest, I'd be like, yeah, like I can be quiet and all the rest of you can if I have enough money.
So
yeah.
This is going to be a fun discussion. I've mentioned this on the show already, I'm sure, but more and more, like, I just don't give a crap about free speech because I don't think it exists except in the realm of the state. Like, as far as the state's concerned, like, yeah, I'll take it. Like, if you're going to let me go to the courthouse or, and be free to say whatever I want, fine, sure. Or wherever, public property, I can say whatever I want. Yeah, I'll take that free speech for sure. But in general, if I don't think there's going to be a state, like, nobody would ever give anyone free speech, like truly free speech, ever.
Yeah.
So what I would rather promote is just, open discussion. Like, okay, we disagree, but let's talk about it anyway. I'll promote that all day long. But as far as free speech is concerned, like total free speech, you can say whatever you want. I don't think there is such a thing, because if there was no state, like I said, as far as the state's concerned, yes, give me total free speech. You're terrible at it. You're not gonna do it, but I think you should. But outside of the state, like, I don't think there's free speech anywhere, and I don't think there should be. I don't think a church should, be forced to allow, people to come in and preach whatever they want. No one does that ever. I don't think I should allow people, if someone comes to my house and says something I don't like, yeah, I should be allowed to kick them out, and that could be extrapolated. And I don't think there's ever a website. Obviously, nobody is ever allowed to say whatever they want on a website. Why should they be allowed to say whatever they want? If you go to a left-wing website and expel whatever I'm trying to say, if you just spew right-wing ideas on a left-wing website, yeah, they're going to shut you down, and that's fine. Nobody cares. Like, screw them.
That's a whole thing on the internet now, where not even on Twitter, but like Reddit more, because there's the different boards. So then people just go in, like, both sides will just, anytime somebody complains about something in their is there a word besides subreddit? They call it something else, whatever it is.
No, that's it, subreddit.
But like, anytime there is a big dissenting opinion, they'll just be like, well, this is from this other group that we don't like. And
yeah,
then,
they're like, oh, it's a bot army.
And then, but then
like,
but then the people in the other one will be like, yeah, no, I went over there and they banned me right away. It's like, yeah, what? You went to late stage capitalism and posted about how shitty communism was, and they're like, get out.
This is exactly the kind of thing I wanted to talk about because of this Twitter shadow banning thing. It's the same thing on Twitter as it is on Reddit. It's the left versus the right. The left likes to claim that they're being shadow banned. Bitcoin Cash likes to claim that they're being shadow banned. Bitcoin Core is like, oh, they're shadow banning me. Libertarians, I'm getting shadow banned. It's victimhood all over the place. And maybe you're right. Like, I'm not excusing Twitter. Trust me, we'll get there later in the show. I'm going to rant against them. They do all kinds of bull crap. Same thing with Facebook. I'm not excusing them, but, like, I just don't care. Like, so they shut you down. Of course they did. What else? That's what they're going to do on their platform. And same thing with Reddit and on and on. So that's a decent segue into one of my next big questions. But before we start combining this discussion of free speech and this discussion of shadow banning, let's keep them separate for the time being. And I want to ask a question about shadow banning, which is just, do you think it exists? Do you think Twitter does it? And we'll dive into that some, which reminds me as well, I did get the poll up. So again, the landing page is you, me, and btc.com/live. Welcome to the chat, Paul Whitehurst. Well, Whitehurst. Thanks for joining us. I don't know anything about Ethiopians in Israel, but feel free to drop some notes in the chat if you if you want to. So yeah, anyway, the landing page.
What shitcoin is Ethiopian Israelis' favorite? I want to know that. So hit me
let us
up.
know.
Let's talk. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Let us know what their favorite coin is, and maybe we'll buy some. Anyway, the landing page is you, me, and btc.com/live. Chat's at the top. Poll is at the bottom. Please do both. And yeah, so both of you guys, do you think Twitter shadow bans? I don't know if you read the blog post and if you believe it or not, but what do you think?
I would say yes. I mean, they definitely said they were, or maybe it was leaked footage or something. They said they were considering using it as like a practice to moderate hate speech or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the other. I have 2 blog posts linked in today's show notes, and the other one is their comments kind of I didn't read every bit of it, but they're supposed to try to encourage bipartisan conversation. They're trying to reduce echo chambers with this new initiative, which I guess that's fine if you want to, but it just seems dumb to me.
Yeah, I have mixed opinions on that. I know like some of these hardline Bitcoin maximalists like Pierre Richard and Michael Goldstein are like, echo chambers on Twitter are the best. I don't want anyone like. That's kind of,
yeah. Why would I want to hear about Bitcoin Cash? Honestly, tell me why.
That's kind of the point of the website. You follow people who say things that you want to hear, and so if you don't like people who disagree with you, then that's the way to use the site. I think it's a good thing to hear.
I saw someone joking that every We Rate Dogs tweet would be followed by like a tweet like totally disparaging dogs just to balance out 13 out of 10 with like negative 13 out of 10. This dog sucks.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Yeah, I don't know. Shit, I forgot where he's even going with this. Echo chambers aren't necessarily bad on Twitter, I think. In real life, if you never are exposed to material that you disagree with, obviously that's bad, but I think Twitter is just too small of a microcosm of the content you should encounter that doesn't really apply. But so Twitter said like they were gonna start shadow banning people, and then they came out with a blog post that was like, no, we don't shadow ban. We just sort of selectively make it harder for your followers to see your content or something. I was like, well, isn't that shadow banning? I don't know.
Not technically.
Yeah, not technically. Sometimes I think I'm shadow banned, but then I just think everyone has me muted on Twitter because my takes are so bad.
Oh.
So, I lost 50 followers yesterday, and I barely said anything. I don't know. I'm kind of butthurt about it.
So I have a bit to say about shadow banning.
Dan's like, fuck that. Let's move on to shadow ban.
Well, no, what there's someone in the chat. First of all, Dope Sauce, thanks for joining us. He says, yo, you, me, and BTC. Yeah, thanks for joining us. We also got Serval Coon, who says that he has a story to share about involving censorship, and he would love to share it. So I guess just drop some notes in the chat, Serval. We'll be happy to share them. I'd like to know what's going on. And also he asks if this is live, and the answer to that is yes. So yeah. Anyway, let us know. I'd love to know how you got censored and why it's ducked up according to him. So here's what I think about shadow banning. In a sense, yeah, of course, it happens. Well, first of all, they do admit in their blog post to some tech bugs that kind of looked like shadow banning, And that was maybe, like I said, 2 or 3 weeks ago. That's kind of why they made this blog post, because they had some tech bugs and people started accusing them of all kinds of stuff, which they've been doing for years. And yeah, they admitted, yeah, we had this tech bugs and some accounts like wouldn't show up when you searched for them. And yes, it happened to both Republicans and Democrats and that kind of stuff. So in that sense, yes, it of course it happens. Bugs can happen, issues can happen, tweets might not show up, accounts might not show up, whatever. I also believe that I've seen this. Like I don't care about my Twitter analytics anymore. I don't look at how many retweets I got or how many followers I got. I don't look at that anymore. I haven't for probably like a year at least. But there was a time when I did, and it was obscenely obvious. Like you would be sitting. Actually, I have a couple screenshots. I don't know where. I'm not going to dig them out. But you would be sitting on like 1 million impressions per month. And this is with, I mean, at the time, I only had, call it 1,000 followers, probably maybe even less. You would look at this chart like over the course of a month, and like it would be sitting again. I don't know the exact numbers. Say 30,000 impressions a day, something like that. It doesn't matter, and then it would just instantly drop. It just would. Like it's just obvious. Like 30,000 a day and a drop, and 5,000 a day. Like it wasn't even like a slope. Like it would just drop. It just happened. And then a couple of weeks later it would jump straight back up. I absolutely believe that happens because I've seen it. I believe that Twitter just you might not call it shadow banning, and I'll get into that in a second here, but I definitely believe that they can limit your reach and that they do limit your reach. They just like, oh, nope, this guy no more for a while. I absolutely believe that happens. The question is why? Why would that happen? What would cause that? I strongly doubt that Twitter is going through accounts like, oh, this is the Free Society Independence Man, and he looks like he likes freedom, so X. No, they're not doing that. Like, even the accounts that like are fairly big but not huge, like call it 8,000, 10,000 followers, they're the kind of influencers that will whine and whine and whine on Twitter and make blog posts. Like they're not so big that they're not like some news personality on cable news where they don't have to complain that they're getting shadow banned because it doesn't matter. Like they get tons of interaction, tons of followers, no matter what. But like these mid-range like Twitter celebrities where the influencers that will just complain constantly with like 8,000, 10,000 followers, whatever, maybe even 5,000. No, Twitter is not like scrolling through like, ooh, he looks like a white nationalist. X, like I maybe in some senses maybe they should if it's a white nationalist scenario, but they're not being like, oh, I think this guy's from the left. No thanks. Oh, this guy looks like an atheist. Yeah, let's go ahead and let's just do a little bit of shadow banning here. All right. No, they're not doing that. Like, I'm sorry. I know you like to think you're that important where Twitter would see your name and your profile pic and shut you down. But that's not how it works. I'm sorry.
Damn, you don't understand. We are making a difference with this bullshit we post online. Everybody is paying attention. This is how. I mean, I think you are right where it's just like Twitter just doesn't matter. Like you tweeting about like look at I mean, people may joke like it's hack at this point, but like if you just look at the people who are like Donald Trump tweets something, I don't even follow him, and then you just but I'll like look at it occasionally because then somebody will retweet it because they'll be like, this is the greatest thing ever, or they'll just be like, this is stupid, and then you look underneath his tweet and it's just thousands of people just like, you should give up and resign. Like, what are you doing with your Twitter? And then the people who are defending him now are the ones who are like, see, I was being shut down because of how I supported our president. And it's terrible what they're doing. It's like, nobody cares. You're not making you're not shaking the world's political stadium over you either calling the president an idiot or defending him or any of this stuff. I I don't think I ever answered as to what, like, I would definitely believe that there's like, I don't understand why they wouldn't do shadow banning. Like, as far as whether it happens or not, I don't see any, like, Zach's point about it being like, well, it's not technically shadow banning, but like that's how we just do things now, where somebody accuses a company or the government of doing something and they go, well, we don't do exactly that because we defined it in this different way. But yeah, I agree with you too, where it's just like it's probably happening, but not like 99% of the time where people are like, I'm shadow banned. Not even 99% of the time. It's probably people start paying attention, or they have you muted or something.
Yeah, like I can promise you that there's not like that Twitter doesn't pay people to like scroll through accounts and just click the shadow ban button. I know that. I'm not saying, like I said, I know that they will mess with your reach, but I believe that's all algorithms. And unless like if you report someone, then of course that account's going to get reviewed, and then maybe they'll click some sort of ban button, whether it's shadow banning or regular banning, if you report something. But I know, I can promise you, they're not just scrolling through accounts and like trying to decide if like they're left winged and then shadow banning them,
They're
or trying to decide if they're atheists and then shadow banning them, or trying to decide if they're voluntarists and then shadow banning them.
Shadow ban all atheists. I would fucking love Twitter if they did that. Atheists are Tim. I love.
That's why you lost. That's why you lost people. Is then you retweet it, and I just had a bunch of people sending me random GIF images, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do with this shit. There's like, they don't do it with an agenda. I'm like, I'm not going to respond to anything on, because nothing's going to be intelligent on it. I'm not trying to be intelligent.
Maybe it was that. I saw an atheist tweet and was like, "Yes, that is perfect." And then like the CEO of Masari liked it and retweeted, and it was just a great tweet.
Before we lose him, I gotta read Serval Kuhn's little story here, because he's got quite the censorship story here in the chat. If anyone else wants to jump in, the usual place, it's you, me, and btc.com/live. Something about frogs will never have justice, but then he gets into his real story. Here's my censorship experience. I was posting sick pics of my genitals. I don't know if he's trying to say sick pics of my genitals or sick pics. I don't. Maybe it was another typo. Bro. Anyway, on Facebook, and they banned me. I am so sorry, buddy. I want those pics everywhere. I don't think Facebook should be allowed to ban you for that.
Sir,
I want those pics plastered all over my Twitter account, my Facebook account. Like, there's nothing better than that. So please keep doing that. Fight Facebook. You have a right, and it's being infringed. So
yeah, this is ridiculous that they're taking all of this away from you, sir. I'm sorry. We will give you a platform someday if you give us all the proceeds. You have to show us you actually have an audience, though. I don't want to just support some guy shoving Pringles in his ass.
Oh yeah, that's the next thing. Apparently, this is terrible. Facebook, please, Zuckerberg, I'm personally appealing to you. Please look into this situation. Apparently, Serval Kuhn had a video removed where he was putting a Pringles can up his ass.
Which is a waste of food, so I do kind of understand. I do enjoy Pringles.
True, there are kids in Africa that don't have enough Pringles to put them up their ass.
I thought that was China.
Or China, whatever. So anyway, that's Serval Kuhn's story. Thanks for sharing. We also got intertwined in there somewhere. Dope Sauce says, oh, where is it here? You shouldn't be able to ban white nationalists. You should be able to see exactly why certain ideas are garbage. Oh man, I don't disagree with you, but this is where that word should is important, because if you say you should be able to, it doesn't matter. Pick white nationalists, pick left, pick the right, whatever. Let's just pick the left, okay? Or you know what? To make it a little less biased, let's say pick up. All right, let's say the up. Instead of the left or the right, let's just say the up. Let's say the up was this huge ideology, and
This is a conspiracy. It's the up. It's not left to right. It's up.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's a little controversial, but it's a mainstream ideology. So let's say people were espousing up on social media. When you say that they should be allowed to do that, what you're saying is this company, or maybe it's my website. Maybe I only have like 500 users, and let's say I'm the down and I hate the up. Are you saying that I have to allow the up to come to my down website and start spewing up stuff?
No, I don't think that, because I do get the argument.
I'm not saying that to you, Tim. I'm saying that to Dope Sauce. Dope Sauce says you should.
I know.
It depends what you mean by should. Do you mean that if I don't allow ups on my website, then I go to prison? Because then you can go home, Duck Sauce. I'll send you to prison. Thank you very much. Did I call him Duck Sauce?
Yes, Duck Sauce. Now this is just racist or something. I'm not sure.
All right. But well, hold on. Before I get derailed, because I have one more thing to say. Or the other side of that is, if you should be able to do that, if you just mean that I should be open to having ups on my down website, then okay, sure. Yeah, I like that idea. I like the idea of open discussion. I should, like, it seems like a decent thing for me to do, to listen to the ups and have them on my down website. But if you're gonna say that I go to prison if I ban an up, tweeter, well, sorry, I'll ban you, Dope Sauce. Jeez.
Duke Sauce.
All right. Sorry,
All right.
Tim,
I will say for the record, atheists and doing whatever he was doing with a Pringles can should be banned. Those two things I feel like are pretty easy bans, but everything else maybe we could have a debate about. But don't defile a Pringles can like that. You have to be banned for that.
It better be empty, and it better not be sour cream and cheddar. That's all I'm saying.
And it's a regular sized Pringles can. The diameter of that thing is enormous.
It's also a little bit too big, man. You better be getting paid a lot of money for that too.
At what point does it become insta-ban? Like clear, obvious ban? Like full size Pringles?
Right,
like if there were mini Pringles,
upon
if there
penetration.
were mini Pringles, would it still be an insta-ban?
Yeah, one of those little short containers.
Even an attempt, or like a premeditated attempt, like anything.
But if it's not premeditated, if you fall on the Pringles, then it's
it's a spur of the moment decision, you're just like, I'm going to jam this in here. That's art, but not if you're premeditated.
Then it's art. If it's not premeditated, then it's art, and we can't ban that. But if it's premeditated, banned, no doubt.
Oh man. Yeah, Tim, I want to know where you were going with that. I finished my point about what you mean by should, but what do you mean by should, Tim?
Like, fuck jalapeno flavor. I'm sorry, Cyril Cone, but whatever. I mean, I guess that's you might as well shove that up your ass then. That shit's terrible. I don't know. I don't even know if I've had help. I don't think this is partly because when we say stuff like should, a lot of people, most people, whenever they say that should be illegal, if then are you going to go point a gun at somebody and make sure they do it?
Or no, don't even say point a gun. Like, so what you're saying is if someone does marijuana, if your neighbors are doing marijuana, you should lock them in your basement. Like, is that what you're going to do? Because that's kind of what you're saying. Like, maybe it's not you in your basement, but actually kind of.
we're removed from it, so you don't have to actually think about it being an issue to that person.
Right.
A lot of people, whenever they're talking about this political stuff, or not political, the censorship stuff, they're getting whipped up. And he made a point. I can't even think of him as Duke Sauce. I'm just going to call him Duke Sauce to be special.
Duke Sauce.
But their whole thing, and I've seen this argument on other things about, like, if you're going to talk about banning like Jones or whoever, like on like the far right, if it's a white national, like their ideas are shitty, blah, blah, you're going to ban this. Well, then you also should ban something like Ancient Aliens, because that's also a bunch of weird shit that doesn't really have any basis. But you do have to understand that there is something of a climate right now where talking about a like something where like Twitter has no real has no onus to give you complete free speech, and the free speech of someone or the speech of someone espousing.
Wait, why don't they have an anus to give me free speech?
Because it's full of Pringles. You can't talk.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say this being dumb again, but that was just Freudian because I'm thinking about Pringles in somebody's ass. Thank you, Serval Coon.
Get out of our chat box.
Yeah,
You've ruined
just
Pringles.
stop.
I cannot.
Yeah, we're gonna censor you.
Yeah.
See, thing like, well, if he had the ability to put actual like videos of this stuff in my own YouTube chat here, yeah, I would definitely ban him because I don't feel like seeing it. But if he's just chatting about it, like, all right, that's pretty funny. Like, I appreciate that humor that he's chucking at us right now. So, like,
but that very reason is why I think it's so great that Twitter has the mute button. That, like, Twitter shouldn't kick someone off the platform. They should just leave it up to users to mute and kick off their individual feeds.
Yeah, why do they have to decide? I'm better than that. I don't need someone else to make my decisions for me.
Exactly.
I'm a man. Thank you very much. I can make those decisions on my own. I'll just hit the mute button when I want to, and then I'm good to go. Like that's the long and the short of any censorship ever. Is just, if you don't want to see it, don't close it out. Hit the X button. Hit the mute button. Like, then you're good. Like, don't go to that place where they're talking about that stuff that you don't want to hear. Don't go to that church. Don't go to that.
I've been trying to, and I've like a lot of my thinking, anytime people talk about censorship or just getting angry on either side, I think I have an issue trying to figure out what exactly is going on. But I think I have, like, every single person you meet believes some weird out there shit about something. Like, they feel like they've read up more about something. They feel like they have some kind of, like, whatever it is, they have some kind of special shit that you'd be like that, like, because most people aren't like, we need to ban people off of Twitter just because I don't want to hear them. They can mute them. But the way that they get this to happen and the way that censorship is normally brought in is this is dangerous and this can cause people to go nuts and these can cause violence and this can cause whatever. But we have to all admit, we all do believe in irrational shit sometimes. Like, we all, I think, have one little issue that we do where you could look at somebody else and you could go, well, this could be dangerous in their own head. Like, I think, I don't like my whole view of like life, I guess, or something. Like, I could see that as being a very negative thing in different people's head. Like, I wouldn't, like, I guess this would come to, like, do you want, maybe this is just me, but like, I wouldn't want my kid or somebody I was raising to necessarily believe every single thing I believe, because not everything I believe is based off of research I've done or whatever. And depending on who you are as a person or whatever, you can have any number of ideas that kind of take over your life. I think that's the issue where people are like, we need to ban this for safety reasons. It's not, I don't want to hear the person. It's, this can cause damage to society or damage to whatever. And I think we to fix that, where we go, no, just let people decide what they want to look at, what they want to read. To fix that, we do have to remember that, and this was my whole thing with the tweet that Zach retweeted, was no matter what, like, everybody's kind of smarmy and annoying. Everybody is like, there's always something in your life that you're kind of, oh, well, I know this, and and everybody does it, no matter what your belief is. And it's all kind of annoying, but if you want the chance, if you want to be able to do something, you do have to have, I think it's a maturity, maybe. That sounds a little bit douchey to say, but I think it's a maturity to go, well, if I want this right, or if I want to, in general, live in a society where this is promoted, I have to accept sometimes that maybe something I think is dangerous is also going to be put out there. I can't live in this safe world if, like, that's why, like, the guy in the chat, I don't want to live in a world where the guy's just like throwing Pringles porn at me. But
yeah,
I love that there can be that joke. Like, taking away the ability to say that in general then takes away for the ability of him to make that joke too. So I like that. And I even do then like, I was just complaining about people going to different Reddit places. I do then like people going and just pissing people off because it's still kind of funny to me. But I understand why they get banned.
Oh no, we've obviously we had troll the troll coin guy with us just a few weeks ago. Of course, we like trolling. The thing is, like, there's a point where in any community, whether it's as big as Facebook and Twitter or as small as let's go with the church. Okay, a church is not. There's always going to be people leading and making rules, legitimate rules, voluntary just rules for. Okay, a church is not going to let someone, come up and start showing porn. Like, they're just not. And that's, you could argue about censorship till you're blue in the face, but they're not going to do that. They're not going to let it, and I don't think they should. Like, that's their decision, and it's their community, and they're the leaders of that community, and if people are free to leave that church if they want to leave. And or even like some person just like wearing a t-shirt with nudity on it to a church. Like, no, they're not going to allow that. And that's their decision. And it's that simple. Sure. Is it censorship? Sure. You want to call it censorship? Yes. And am I okay with it? Yes. Let's censor that all day. And like I said, if frickin' smarmy Serval-Coon was putting actual porn, Pringles porn in our chat, I would hit a mute button or a timeout button or whatever it is that YouTube has. So that's why free speech makes me so mad. Like, no, nobody is going to give you free speech. Nobody should give you actual total free speech. That doesn't make any sense. Like, the people that want free speech only want it for things that they like. Like, if you're a right winger, you want free speech to support the Second Amendment. Well, of course you do, but you don't want free speech for people to protest about gay rights, or like, people like
no, I get it.
and shout about free speech. It's not about free speech. All right, it's not about what you should and shouldn't be allowed to say. There's no such thing as what you should and shouldn't be allowed to say, because every different community, every place that you go to, every room that you walk into, every website you visit is going to have different ideas about what you should and shouldn't say. And so there's no such thing as like an overall, this is free speech. Even within the state, even within the government, even within the Constitution, when supposedly it's supposed to be so clear, like, oh, of course you have free speech. Even then, of course you have free speech, but of course you're not allowed to say this and this and this and that. Like, whoa. Like, even when free speech is supposed to be so ingrained in the Constitution, even then it's so obvious that you don't actually have free speech, because there's always that exception, like, oh, well, you're not allowed to shout fire in a movie theater. Okay, then why didn't you put it in the Constitution? like that's no, like, every single room that you ever walk into is going to have a different kind of free speech. So please stop talking about free speech, because it will never make sense. Please just start talking about the idea of, like, okay, I'm willing to listen to someone that disagrees with me. That let's fight for that. Let's just say, I'm going to listen to people that disagree with me. And if they start chucking porn at me, I might stop listening. But I'm open to a discussion. That's all I think you can do and say.
I agree.
That's my rant.
I think it's dumb that people whine and tag Jack and complain about this, like, whether it's real shadow banning or not, all of this nonsense, and just gripe and groan about everything they dislike about Twitter, when in reality the website is free and these morons log on to whine about it. And even if they're not whining about it, they still have the app open on their phone or the tab open on their desktop browser 23 hours a day. And then they're still like, oh, Twitter sucks. It's terrible. Then why are you using this free service, you moron? If you hate it that much, then use something else. Like, that's why I created a Mastodon account on the Bitcoin Mastodon instance, and I'm using it just as much as Twitter almost. It's just a cool platform. And I'm also just not griping on Twitter. Like, if you hate it that much, stop using it. If you don't hate it enough to stop using it, then just shut up, for God's sake.
Yeah,
That's my rant.
I'm with you on the shut up. I that's one of my go-to. Just shut up, please. So the other related thing that we got to get to before we wrap up, and this was I forget if it was dope sauce or serval coin coon or whatever. Somebody was asking our thoughts on data mining in general and privacy, which is definitely somewhere I wanted to take this discussion as well, because these algorithms, these companies, Facebook, Twitter, Google, Amazon, obviously they do mine your data. And it's a really similar issue. It's like, yeah, they're going to censor you. Yeah, they're going to mine your data. And the solution is also kind of the same. Like, okay, then don't use them. Or and the my political response is also the same. Is like, yeah, so what? Like, that's if you're giving them that data every time you click a link on Facebook, you're telling Facebook, I am interested in whatever's at this link. Or every time you follow someone on Twitter, you're telling Twitter, I am interested in this person. Or anytime you give up your age to Facebook, you are telling Facebook your age. So yes, of course they're mining that data. Like, that's not exactly like I would say with free speech. Like, they can do that because you just told them. It's the same thing. Like, that's what you're letting them do it. You're that's man. It's kind of just like I said, it's just the same thing. Like, I don't care. Like, yeah, I'm against data mining, but I don't think it should be illegal. I'm not going to put someone in prison for it. I'm just going to argue against it, and I'm going to tell you not to use it, not to do it, not to allow them to do it. And that's it. Like, it's that simple. Like, if you don't want something, if you don't want to be involved in something, then just don't be involved in something. And I mean, yeah, you could argue like, well, they promised, like they misrepresented themselves because they promised that they wouldn't share this data, but somehow it ended up at Cambridge Analytica or whatever. And like, so they lied to me, and that's I wouldn't have shared my age if I knew they were going to send it to Cambridge Analytica. And like, okay, fine, like they lied to you, but what did you expect?
Yeah.
Like, they took your data. You gave them your age, your email address, your interests, your friends. Like, they know all about it. It's like if you're freaking at the office and you're all upset because someone's gossiping about something that you told them. You told them.
Yeah.
What I don't care how much you trusted them. Like, there's a good chance they might tell someone else. Like, it's just,
you should just expect people. Yeah, you should expect people.
No one knows things about you unless you tell it to someone, and then once you do, to even one person, you have no control over who they give it to, whether it's a friend or a corporation mining data or whatever. And you need to keep that in mind. Like, one of the greatest things that I've gotten out of the years I've spent in Bitcoin is what some people would call paranoia, but what I just think is a heightened level of caution with my personal data. Like, I was in a doctor's office for a checkup the other day, filling out this patient form, and it was like 2 pages long, asking me for like employer data. It wasn't insurance, it was just like a new patient registration form and all this stuff. I'm like, why do you need to know all this information about me to evaluate me and give me a prescription? And it was so frustrating. Like, but that's one of the greatest things I've got from this space, just a heightened value on protecting my personal information. I think everyone should benefit from that and stop being a stupid normie.
Yeah, this discussion could go on forever, and we're running out of time here, but there are so many avenues we could take this. Like, Dope Sauce is saying, like, well, if you have a business, you kind of need a Facebook and a Twitter. And we could argue about that for hours and go on and on. My short answer is just, I'm sorry, there's no you don't. Like, you do not need a Facebook. I don't care if you're a business. I don't care if you're trying to compete. be creative, figure something out. I'm not saying that I wouldn't use Facebook if I had a business. I do use Facebook. I'm saying that if you're that upset about data mining, then be creative. Just do something else. And yeah, and that's that. Like there's no such thing as needing Facebook or needing Twitter or needing Google. That's what I would say. So, but I know it's a complicated situation. I'm not trying to bash you or anything for thinking that, because it's definitely complicated, and there's a million avenues that this discussion could go. But we'll more or less call it there. I liked this discussion. I'm glad at what some of the rants we got out. I'm glad at the points we kind of ended up with. I think this discussion needed to be had about, algorithms and all the power that these companies have, whether it's intentional or unintentional. It doesn't matter. Like, they have that power, and that's what they do and how they do it. And if you don't like it, then you need to deal with that and get away from it, or be creative, or or just, deal with it. Oh, geez. So anyway, thanks for joining us, guys. It's been a blast. I am gonna we'll do another two. I guess, yeah, we still have to do a advice of the week. We'll keep it super quick. So that's coming up in moments, and we'll say goodbye and give you our plugs or whatever. But first, of course, I got to run our commercial. So we'll thank our sponsor one more time. We'll be back in a second to do advice of the week and wrap it up. Peace out. Oh man, Tim says he didn't get anything. Like, as in no sound there.
Yeah, no, I'm not hearing anything.
Did Zach get it?
Let me check the
No,
YouTube.
but I wasn't sure if it was just my PC acting up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
no.
great. So we just sat there for 30 seconds and did nothing. That's great. Oh man. Well, I'll just skip it then. I don't want to waste another 30 seconds. And we love Chronologic. They are our sponsor. They literally make this show possible. And they, like I said earlier, time-related innovation on the Ethereum blockchain. So thanks for friggin' bearing with us through that. Okay, so advice of the week, guys. Got anything good? I'm sorry, Dope Sauce. There was no sound. Thanks. Seriously, I thanks for bearing with me. If you're that upset, you can censor me and stop watching my YouTube channel. Advice of the week, guys. You got to have something good for me, Tim.
No.
All right.
I mean,
Yeah,
at least I won't shit on Dope Sauce and then steal a commercial away from him at the end. But I don't know, best advice. I don't know, find something if you can use Twitter and Facebook responsibly. I think we should look at these things as something akin to like overeating or like mild drug. I wouldn't go and be like Facebook is like heroin, but like if you can find something, if you are using it too much and you're actually getting pissed off about something on there, find something else to do for a little bit. Probably go read a book. I mean, if you like getting annoyed, that's fine. But if you get stuck over like you need your little area online to be this kind of if something's bothering you in your life, if you want censorship, if you want stuff like that, before you consider censorship, before you consider I need to make this person shut down, consider, do I need to be here? Is them being censored really going to help me, or is it just going to make me annoyed about something else down the line?
That's a good way to put it. A good way to that's a kind of an explanation of the should that we were talking about. if you're saying that you should have open conversation, the way that you can kind of exercise that should is to, yeah, like you said, Tim, before you censor, you should just think about like what you're. We're not saying that you shouldn't censor. Like if you run a church and someone comes in the nude, yeah, please kick them out. I'm not saying you shouldn't censor, but like you said, Tim, at least think about it. That's how I would define should, or at least it makes sense to me right now in this moment. Just think about, you know, be more open, consider accepting something that you might not normally accept. Consider listening to something that you might not normally listen to. Consider talking to someone that you might not normally talk to. You know, whether it's on social media or in person, obviously is better in a lot of cases. Consider going somewhere that you wouldn't normally go to. Consider letting someone come to your home or office or whatever. I'm not saying you should let in an obvious murderer, but yeah, I like that, Tim. That's a good way. That's a good way to kind of define the should. It's just you should think about, be open to things that you aren't normally. And yes, it's a scale. Yes, there's a point where you should say, please stay out of my house, but think about it. I like that, Tim. And I feel like I expanded enough on that just now that I can say that I gave my advice of the week in that expansion right there. So there's that, which leaves Zach to enlighten us and wrap us up here.
My advice of the week is, with everything in life, but especially Twitter, if you're being censored, all of the platforms you could be censored on right now are free. No one's forcing you to use them, and you're not paying anything to use them. If you don't like the platform you're using, then just stop. No one cares if your account is censored. They may retweet you or like your status or something and be like, oh, yeah, screw Facebook or Twitter. But they don't care. None of us do. Just stop. Either use it and shut up and share meaningful content, or don't use it at all. And we will care about you just as little either way. So please just be a grown-up about this. That's my advice for the week.
I like that too. I'll go ahead and piggyback off that one too and just say, I don't care about a lot of things that you have to say. So shut up and go home. That's my additional advice of the week. Guys, it's been a blast. Anything else we got to share, get out before we go? Until next week, the place to be is you, me, and BTC.com. There's all kinds of shows there. We're up to 4 shows a week now, as I've said many times. They're all amazing shows. They're not all Bitcoin related, but they are all outstanding. So check them out. Zach's got one. Tim's got one. We also got Ryan Tofil and Brian Chai on Wednesdays, usually, kind of, but it's I've fudged the schedule a bit lately. It happens, but the shows get out eventually, and they're just as good. So anything else, guys? It's been a blast. We love you. You, me, and BTC.com. Also follow me on Twitter, because Twitter is the best. They never do anything wrong. At you, me, and BTC. Mute me if you really want to. I would love that. Follow me and then mute me. Is that even a thing? Probably.
Yeah, that's
so.
Yeah.
They also, I saw that they banned Robin Williams the other day, even though he's been dead for 4 years. So yeah. All right, guys, we love you. Peace out. Come back sometime.
Cheers.
Y'all come back sometime.